What if the next time you walked into your grocery store, the shelves were completely empty? No rice, no pasta, no canned goods, just empty metal shelves and a line of confused, frustrated people behind you. That's not a dystopian fantasy. That's something millions of people have already lived through. And right now, the conditions that make that scenario possible are quietly building again. A war is escalating in the Middle East. Fuel prices are climbing. Shipping routes are under pressure, and the supply chains that stock your local supermarket every single morning are starting to feel the strain. In this video, we're going to break down exactly what's happening, why it affects the food on your table, what you should be stocking right now, and how to do it smartly, without panic, without waste, and without going overboard. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear, practical plan for protecting your household from supply chain disruption. And it's simpler than you think. Welcome to Food Decider, where we help you make smarter, calmer decisions for your home and your family. If that's the kind of content you're looking for, hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a video. Let's get into it. Most people assume that wars are someone else's problem, something that happens on a screen in a country far away with consequences that stay neatly contained within those borders. But that's not how the modern world works, not even close. Today's wars don't just destroy buildings, they travel through systems. They move through oil markets, energy grids, shipping lanes, and global supply chains. And when those systems start to buckle under the pressure, the effects don't stay overseas. They come home. They show up in your fuel tank, they show up at the checkout counter, and eventually they show up on your dinner plate. Right now, we are watching this happen in real time. The conflict involving Iran has escalated significantly in just a matter of days. Israeli strikes have hit Iranian oil facilities, sending thick black smoke across the region. Residents have described waking up to skies lit orange from burning fuel and rain falling black with oil contaminants. Drone strikes are being reported near airports. Desalination plants are being targeted. Iran has installed a new supreme leader following the death of the previous one, with both Israel and the United States signaling they will pursue any successor who continues the same path. This conflict is not stabilizing, it is evolving, and the systems it is hitting, energy, oil, shipping, fuel, are the exact same systems that determine how much food costs, how reliably it moves, and how quickly it reaches your local store. Here's something that most people don't think about when they picture a supermarket. They imagine a building full of food, stocked shelves, plenty of everything. And on a normal day, that image is accurate. But what's behind it is a machine, a tightly coordinated, constantly moving machine that depends on trucks arriving every single day, sometimes multiple times a day, to replenish what was sold the day before. Supermarkets don't stockpile, they rely on flow. Constant, uninterrupted flow. And when that flow gets disrupted, even briefly, the shelves empty out faster than most people could ever imagine. We saw this during the pandemic. People didn't even need to be told there was a shortage. The moment uncertainty spread, behavior changed almost overnight. People started buying more than they needed, stores couldn't restock fast enough, and suddenly basic staples like rice, pasta, flour, and canned goods simply weren't available. Not because they didn't exist somewhere in the world, but because the system that moves them couldn't keep up with the sudden spike in demand. Now think about what happens when it isn't just fear driving that behavior. Think about what happens when fuel prices are genuinely rising, freight costs are climbing, and deliveries are actually slowing down. The shelves don't empty because of panic alone. They empty because the machine behind them is running at a reduced pace. That's the scenario we need to understand right now, because fuel price increases don't just make it more expensive to fill up your car, they make it more expensive to move everything. Every truck on every highway in every country is powered by fuel. Every ship crossing every ocean burns fuel. When the price of that fuel spikes, the cost of moving goods spikes with it. And those costs don't disappear, they get passed on, first to distributors, then to retailers, and finally to you at the checkout. This is the ripple effect that most people never connect back to a war in the Middle East, but the connection is real, it's direct, and it's already in motion. So what do you actually do about it? Not theoretically, practically, right now in your home with a normal budget and a normal life. The answer is simpler than most people expect. You build a food buffer, Not a bunker, not a year's worth of freeze-dried survival rations, just a calm, sensible extension of what you already buy, stored in a way that gives your household breathing room if the supply chain hiccups. But here's where most people go wrong when they start thinking about food preparation. They fixate on one category. They go out and buy 20 bags of rice and call it done. Or they fill their cupboard with canned beans and feel like they've covered their bases. And while rice and beans are genuinely great staples, a diet built exclusively on one or two ingredients is going to break down very quickly, not just in terms of morale, but in terms of actual physical health. Your body needs balance, and a smart food buffer reflects that. The first category you want to focus on is protein. This is what keeps...
Without adequate protein, energy drops, the immune system weakens, and recovery from even minor illness becomes harder. The good news is that shelf-stable protein options are widely available and affordable. Canned tuna, canned salmon, canned chicken, and sardines are all excellent choices. They last for years, they're nutritionally dense, and they require almost no preparation. Beyond canned fish and meat, legumes are one of the most powerful protein sources you can store. Dried or canned lentils, chickpeas, kidney beans, and black beans are cheap, filling, and incredibly versatile. Peanut butter is another underrated option. High in protein, high in healthy fats, calorie-dense, and with a long shelf life. Don't overlook it. The second category is carbohydrates. These are your energy foods. They keep you full, they stretch meals, and they form the backbone of most dishes across almost every cuisine in the world. White rice is the classic choice because it stores almost indefinitely when kept properly, and it pairs with virtually anything. Pasta is another excellent option, cheap, quick to cook, and available in endless varieties. Rolled oats are perfect for breakfast and can also be used in baking. Flour gives you the ability to make bread, flatbreads, pancakes, and pastry from scratch, which becomes incredibly valuable when your access to fresh bakery goods is limited. Couscous and instant mashed potato are both worth including because they cook extremely fast and require very little water or fuel to prepare. Now, here's the part that most people genuinely forget, and it's the part that separates a functional food buffer from a miserable one: flavor. Plain rice is edible, plain beans are edible, but if that's all you're eating day after day, you will lose the will to cook. You'll start skipping meals, morale will drop, and during an already stressful situation, that's the last thing you need. Cooking with your staples transforms the entire experience. Pasta sauce turns plain pasta into a proper meal. Curry paste turns rice and lentils into something genuinely satisfying. Stock cubes add depth to anything you're boiling. Canned tomatoes form the base of dozens of different dishes. Soy sauce, hot sauce, dried herbs and spices, cooking oil, salt, and pepper, these are the ingredients that make food feel like food. Stock them, rotate them, use them in your everyday cooking so they don't expire sitting on a shelf. The goal here is not to build a separate emergency pantry that you never touch. The goal is to build a working pantry, an extension of your regular kitchen that you shop from and replenish naturally. 2 to 4 weeks of comfortable eating, meals you actually recognize, food that keeps your household calm, nourished, and functioning, even if the supermarket shelves are bare for a week or two. That buffer buys you something that money genuinely cannot buy in the middle of a shortage: time. Time to wait for the situation to stabilize, time to avoid the panic and the scramble, time to make calm decisions instead of desperate ones. Food is the centerpiece of this conversation, but it doesn't exist in isolation. Your ability to store it, cook it, access it, and actually benefit from it depends on a few other systems that are worth addressing directly. The first is water. It sounds almost too obvious to say, but water is the most frequently overlooked element of household preparedness. We turn on the tap and clean water appears, and we have done it so many times that we've stopped thinking about what makes that possible. But the system behind your tap is genuinely complex. It depends on electricity to run pumping stations. It depends on chemical supplies for water treatment. It depends on maintenance crews and functioning infrastructure. When any of those elements are disrupted, the water supply can be affected faster than most people would believe. And unlike food, where you have days or even weeks before things become critical, water becomes a survival issue within just a few days. Storing water at home doesn't require anything complicated. Clean containers, kept in a cool and dark location, rotated regularly. Having a basic water filtration option as a backup, whether that's a quality filter jug or a portable filtration straw, adds another layer of security on top of your stored supply. The second system is power. When the grid goes down, the entire texture of daily life changes almost instantly. Phones die, fridges stop running, lighting disappears, and critically, access to information cuts out at exactly the moment when information matters most. Fear spreads fastest in darkness and silence. A household that still has light, communication, and access to news is a household that stays calm, and calm households make better decisions. You don't need a whole house generator system to solve this. A portable power station is enough to keep phones charged, run a small light source, and power a radio. Even a basic power bank kept charged and ready means you won't lose contact with the world when the power goes out. Pair that with a headlamp and a room lantern, and you've transformed a potentially frightening blackout into a manageable inconvenience. The third area is financial resilience. This one often gets dismissed as too abstract or too extreme, but it's actually one of the most practical layers of preparedness you can build. When global instability rises, it shows up in the financial system quickly. Markets become volatile, inflation rises, the purchasing power of your savings quietly erodes. We have watched this happen over the past several years, and the current situation suggests it is not finished. Gold and silver have served as stores of value throughout human history, not because they make anyone rich overnight, but because they tend to hold their purchasing power during periods of economic uncertainty. The point
It isn't about going out and converting your life savings into gold bars. It's about diversification. Keeping a small portion of your savings in something tangible, something that exists outside of digital payment systems and stock market volatility, is simply another layer of resilience. Small silver coins or fractional gold are the most accessible entry points for most households. Think of it the same way you think of your food buffer, a modest, sensible hedge, not a dramatic lifestyle change. When you look at all of this together, the food, the water, the power, the lighting, the hygiene supplies, the medical basics, and the financial hedge, it doesn't look extreme. It looks like the foundation of a household that is simply harder to rattle. Because here's the truth about preparedness that gets lost in all the noise. It isn't about fear. It isn't about expecting the worst. It's about removing fragility from your life before the pressure arrives. Because pressure always arrives eventually, in one form or another. And when it does, the gap between a prepared household and an unprepared one isn't measured in survival gear or tactical equipment. It's measured in calmness, in clear thinking, in the ability to look at a difficult situation and know that your family is covered. The people who waited until the shelves were already empty are the ones who scramble. The people who made small, steady, sensible decisions before the disruption arrived are the ones who stay calm. And calm is not a small thing. Calm is everything. Start small, start now, and stay ahead of the scramble. If this video gave you something useful, do us a favor and hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need to hear this. Subscribe to Food Decider for practical, no-panic content every week. And share this with someone in your life who you think should be hearing this right now. We'll see you in the next